So I want to start working on each one of my pages individually, and I know on the home page I wanted to put like a schedule of events, and I created that schedule in Excel. Not that you need Excel to create a table in HTML, but I just thought visually it was pretty appropriate, just so we could think about what information like this looks like and how it'll translate to the web. Now, first off, let's look at exactly what we're talking about here. Of course, this whole thing would be considered, I guess, well, in Excel, a spreadsheet, or in HTML terms, it's going to be a table, because it's a table of tabular information. At the very top over here, we have some information, but it's not, I guess, the data that's in here. What we have up top over here actually describes the columns that are going down, so they'd be considered the, I guess, the headers of each column. From a HTML perspective, we'd consider these the table headers. And all these other elements over here are actually is the actual raw data. So we would consider these just table data, and each one of these rows has data that's in the table, obviously. So, well, let's look at how we could make this into HTML. So I'm going to flip over to Dreamweaver, and right here on my home page, I'm going to start. My home page is index.html, so I'm going to change the header from home to welcome to the aquarium. And where my paragraph text is where I'm going to add my table data. Now, I don't like the way Dreamweaver adds tables at all, because it adds all sorts of sizing information in there that I don't want. I want to do all my sizing and styling with my CSS. So I'm going to do all of this completely manually. So let me show you first how any table starts, and that's with the good old table tag. There you go, and you could start it that way and then close it off. So pretty simple. Why are these things tabbing the way I want them to? There we go. I guess everything else is a little off kilter, but that's fine. Next order of business is finding out how we could define these guys over here, these headers. Now, this is going to be using, well, we sort of like an unordered list in a sense, that first we define the row, and then we have to define each one of those elements inside of the row. So a row for a table in HTML is TR, table row, and we could just go and finish it up right there, and there we go. We have table row. Now inside of that are the TD, table, oh, actually no, TH, because we're talking about the headers of each one of those. And now let's go back to what my headers are. We got date, location, description, and time. Okay, that's pretty easy. So why don't I just take that and paste it right in there. Yeah, let me close it out. I was thinking about how I could do this. I guess I could just do it straight like this. So I have date. We'll take the location. Oh, come on. I was trying to paste it in there as a picture. No, thank you. Just be careful what you're adding into your pages over here, because if it's at this point, if it's not just raw text and it's pictures, you're going about it all wrong. Okay, so far we have not much. We just have these things in a row, and these are our table headers, and now we want to add our table data. So how about, let me count how many I have. I have what? Okay, I have 13 of these rows over here for my table. So the reason I'm counting that is because I'm going to start by just copying and pasting the initial code that I write. So that was a table row, and inside of that table row are table headers. Now for the data, it's sort of the same way, except the only difference is instead of adding a table header, we're going to add a TD, right? And there we go. And then you could do one, two, or four of them, and then we go back a bit and we'll close that out. And now what I have here is the code that is ready to accept all those values that we put in. So what did I say? I have 13 of them. Let me go down the row, or I guess I don't want to do 13 of these things for this video. Okay, I'll do, well, let me do more than just that. I'll do, how about I do 1, 2, 3, 4, I'll do 5 of them. That's enough to kind of push things down a bit. And I have, at this point, what's just the skeleton of what I'm about, of the table that I'm about to create. See, if you look at the design, there's nothing in there because, I mean, it doesn't look like there's anything there because we didn't actually fill it up with content yet. So I am going to do just that. Let me fill it up with, let's go down the way over here. I'll put the date. Okay, and you see, I'm just starting it off since I know these are all the date column anyway. That works out. There we go. Now I'm putting this in through code view because you need to be a little careful if you put it into design view, because check this out. I'm going to put in here, you saw how by doing it through code view I was just putting in the actual raw data and nothing else. But if I come here and I select it, I've seen, let's see, for example, oh, well, that worked. You know what I must have done? I think I only clicked on a table cell once before this and then tried pasting it in. Keep your eye on this. It added all this crap over here. You see what I'm talking about? All this cell padding and all that. That was because, actually, that's Excel bringing those styles in, or maybe the relationship between Excel and Dreamweaver adding some extra information, you know, trying to be helpful. But if you see any of this junk in your page, just get rid of it immediately, because that's not going to be doing you any favors when you try to style this thing. What you're looking for is just having raw data there, because if you don't have the raw data, then you know, then you might actually have other things affecting the layout of it. And what's going to end up happening is you're going to be struggling to figure out why, you know, it's not looking the way you expected it to. So just keep that in mind. So I got main parking lot, back pond, the parking, what was that? No, not main parking lot, main aquarium, and the parking lot puddle. Ha ha ha, aren't I clever? Anyway, I'm going to about wrap this up for now, because I'm just going to fill in my table with the rest of this data over here. But the point of this video is that here is what tables look like. First, similar to an unordered list, you start off by defining a table row. Then, depending on what's inside of that data, you're either going to have a TD elements, which are table data, or you're going to have TH elements, which are table headers. So that really depends on what you're creating, because actually there may be times when you may also have headers for each row. It'd still just be a TH. You just would add, instead of making it TDs all down here, you can do a TH in there as well. If you're going to have something like, for example, see, by default it's bold. If both the first column and first row define something, you may have that. I don't have a need for that, so I just have my very first table row with the headers in there, the TH is table headers. And of course, none of this works unless you have everything nested inside of that table tag.